it's come to our attention that Evangeline Lilly, who is also the Wasp in Ant-Man and the Wasp, was recently at a vaccine mandate protest. And I know Kevin Feige himself is also somewhere punching the air because this is now the third time that somebody's come out in opposition to vaccine mandates, despite the fact that Disney themselves has a vaccine mandate.
So is Quantumania already shot, or we just gonna have another delay? I guess the one benefit that they have on their side to this now is that Disney never demonized Letitia Wright. I don't think they never put her in an uncomfortable position, at least through the media. They were very quiet on this subject. Most of what we got along the lines of information pertaining to, you know, what was going on with Letitia and her vaccination status was scoopers and secondhand information. We never got any direct reports from Disney themselves. So going into this situation with Evangeline Lilly, they can slow play it. They can absolutely take their time and continue to engage with her and offer her money and probably ultimately end up at the same conclusion that they did with Letitia Wright. Like, hey, you can take this $2 to $5 million bonus that we're offering you to take the vaccine and continue production, or we can, you know, try to go another direction without you. But I feel like if they do that, though, if they go another way without her and they can prove that they fired her for breach of contract, which I'm sure somewhere in that contract it says you have to adhere to any of the procedural process, you know, the processes that they have to go through to shoot at Disney. I'm sure you have to give consent to shooting the movie the way that they say, going through production the way that they say. Maybe she doesn't have to get her paycheck at all. I don't know exactly how far they're willing to go. I know they probably won't be as forceful about it with Evangeline Lilly as they probably were with Letitia Wright. But they do have it in their back pocket that they never really attack Letitia. So if they don't attack Evangeline Lilly, it's not going to come off as, oh, we all treated Letitia Wright differently than you did Evangeline Lilly. Ultimately, I just think they're going to work out a number, just like Letitia Wright, and then, you know, we'll be done with this. But Quantumania, I don't think it's not set to release until 2023 last time I saw, and that's probably even been pushed because of the delays to this movie, to Black Panther.
Do you think that there's any kind of optic difference in what was going on with Letitia Wright, and then in this case, Evangeline Lilly basically outing herself and claiming that she herself was at the Robert Kennedy vaccine mandate rally?
I think that, well, I mean, Letitia Wright outed herself too. Nobody told her to get on IG and start saying that stuff. But I think the difference is the type of vitriol that you've seen online. People were much more forceful to talk about Letitia Wright than they were Evangeline Lilly. Right? There's a lot more, oh, well, that's her political stance for Evangeline Lilly than there was for Letitia Wright. You know, oh, well, you can't force people to do something they don't want to do medically. So, because I'm for bodily autonomy, it's just you're for a bodily autonomy for certain people, not all.
So what do you think that says about, at least in Letitia Wright's case, she is supposedly very much the starring role in her movie, as opposed to Evangeline Lilly is maybe co-star at best? Any thoughts on how that kind of plays out, especially as it pertains to getting the check like you just mentioned?
Well, so I guess before Black Panther 2, you could say Evangeline Lilly and Shuri were, well, no, because Wasp is a I just, it's throwing me off because Ant-Man is really not they have turned him into a leading character. So I guess by association, Wasp would have to be a leading character. She's been a leading character in one of the movies now. So
I would think she'd be
basically
co-star.
Ant-Man 2 was about her and her father and losing their mom. It wasn't so much about, the first Ant-Man was about Scott Lang. The second one was as much about Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne. So I guess you could call her a lead. And at that point, she's probably getting paid more than Letitia. She's probably getting paid more than Letitia, regardless. But now with her being elevated for Black Panther 2, that kind of changes that dynamic, because now she's leading a franchise as opposed to being a co-star or a co-lead, you know. Yeah. So I don't think that plays too much, because at that point we're getting a little semantical about the difference between Letitia Wright and Evangeline Lilly if we're talking position in the franchise. But even with that, I don't think that played as much into it as much as who these people are, who they are as individuals, played into what the response was from the public. I mean, again, I'm trying not to get too worked up about it, because I don't believe it's going to persist. Right? You're either going to be gone or you're going to take the paycheck and you know, do what you need to do. Letitia Wright did not die on her political hill to fight this. I really don't expect Evangeline to do that either. So we'll just see what the number ends up being, you know.
Fair enough.
Yeah.